a lot of things happening. Jay, I know ultimately you'll feel like it was 3 points lost and you only gained the one for a draw. How did you assess that in terms of how Arsenal played, in terms of adapting to the red card, in terms of almost, if you could say, mano a mano, for as long as they had 11 players on the pitch themselves? And also the early goal where I thought the defenders went to sleep and they allowed Haaland to go straight in with that through ball and they conceded. What do you feel after all of that as a Gunners fan?
Almost pulled off a masterclass. I mean, watchability. I'm not a fan of sitting back or parking the bus, whatever the case may be. But I'm not naive, man. And defending is part of the game. Like, I was not mad when Chelsea went to the new camp and did what they did. I was not mad when Inter Milan went to the new camp and did what they did, because it's recognizing, okay, this is the opponent, this is how they want to play, this is what they do well, and this is what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. How do we then respond to that? And Arsenal had the perfect response. Like, Mikel Arteta is a bloody good coach, because against the teams, if you want to say that Arsenal are expected to beat, you're going to see them playing more freely, more openly, and trying to go for the goals. But then he's also built a team that is full of like big boys and a physical team where you're going to try to get a goal from the set piece, because Gabby scored a second goal from a corner in consecutive weeks. That is not by chance, that is by design. They've got a coach who like specifically is training Arsenal on that and recognizing that at the Etihad, you're probably going to have few chances. We're going to try take as many as we can from those set pieces, from those corners. And if we get an opportunity to play out, to hit them on the counter, you do that as well. I mean, the goal by Caliafori is not something you'll see every week, but you take that. And Arsenal went down at the Etihad, Chuck, and they came back to 2-1. And I thought we were in for a chance for a classic, and it's Arteta adapting to the situation, because the last 3 visits, including this one, so there was when City ran riot and put 4 past Arsenal, and when he came back last season, it's like, I'm not going to allow that. So parked the bus and went away with a 0-0. This season is, okay, how do we do that where we play not to be beaten, but we also give ourselves a chance to win? And there they were. They were right there on the cusp of that happening. But then the game as a spectacle was ruined by the red card. And even when they went down to 10 men, the spirit and the focus and the concentration and how they applied themselves, like how they go from pressing high to then organizing themselves to the low block, absolutely brilliant, And they were absolutely doing everything that they needed to do, but unfortunately City kept coming and they scored the goal at the end, and the reactions from Haaland and other players afterwards. City don't respect Arsenal as rivals, but they certainly know that Arsenal are there.
Interesting game, to say the least. When you speak about Inter and Barcelona going to the Nou Camp and parking the bus, I saw shadows of a Barcelona side who were just playing on the edge of the box, and you're like, guys, shoot, cross, do something. There's 10 people behind the ball. You're not going to wiggle your way through or dribble past them. Do something. And I think they were guilty of that, because I think if they had taken shots more often, I think you get a chance of getting a rebound or setting up a set piece and getting a different look, basically, because for 20-odd minutes, you were just passing around from one corner to the other, passing the ball in front of the box, but not shooting really. And you're like,
but even that, Chuck, when they did shoot, it was Diaz or it was Guardiola. Arsenal were allowing shots from the centre-backs, not from the attacking players. So, well-marshalled.
I think City somewhat lost a lot in the loss of Rodri. Rodri would have been in those positions to shoot, because Kovacic was there, but he was also moving the ball on. You're like, Kovacic, you scored a screamer against Chelsea, Nodilas. Do something, give us a plan. And I thought to myself when they introduced Foden that he was going to shoot, but he didn't get the space to do that either. So, I mean, props to Arsenal, because I was thinking, Martinelli, one of the quicker guys, is he on the edge of the box, or just out of the frame of the shot? Should they get the ball, they're going to hoof the ball up to him. He was not. He was doing defensive duties as well. The one time they did break away, I was quite disappointed by Martinelli, because he's there with Walker. I'm like, make it a duel. So quickly, so easily. It's like, come on, dude. I know you've been putting in a shift, but if you break away, this is game, set, and match. But I mean, yeah, we are speaking about City, who are going to put the pressure on you, and Arsenal survived it well for at least most part of the game. And I think that instance where they did get their equalizer was because someone shot or someone caused some commotion within the box, which they'd prevented for most of the game. So I think yeah, 3 points lost, man, because under trying circumstances, because they weren't going to have it their way. And as you rightly say, they built a game plan to rightly so understand how do we negate those particular issues. We're not going to have most of the possession. We're not going to have Joy down both wings because Martinelli was getting Joy, but not Saka in terms of running at his man. And so you have to understand the dynamics of that particular problem and see how you're going to fix it. And so, I mean, the set piece comes in very handy when you've got someone like Gabriel who, for his goal, no one was going to stop him. He attacks the ball with so much ferocity, and he's such a big unit that most likely if I was defending, I would get out the way. But I was going to coach him, I would get out of the way because he attacks that ball with so much vigor. But I think I'd be disappointed as an Arsenal fan because they dropped points at Brighton. I thought to myself, after they got one goal down, after Haaland had scored and they'd gone a goal down, I thought to myself, is this where the league goes? Is this where they open up the gap, you know? But after that, they came in and they go 2-1 up, and I'm like, okay, the title race is back on, especially if you beat these guys. So for that equalizer to go in, I was a bit deflated, and I was like, you guys had it. It was so close. So it was a good watch, but not a good result for Arsenal, I feel.
Yeah, I think against Brighton, the same thing happened where went down to 10 men, and against City as well. And I think with 10 men, Chuck, ultimately, I think it's a good result. If you can go into the Etihad and come away without having been beaten, especially under the circumstances where you did get a red card, I think you take that. In the moment, especially after having put in that display defensively to keep them out for as long as you did, it feels like a sucker punch at the end. But I think when you take a step back, you'll take that. You'll absolutely take that. Without an Odegaard, you're still missing Merino in the middle of the park. You have them to come back still. And they have to come to the Emirates. And then the hope is that you do exactly what you did last season where you beat them. And you then have the inside lane towards the title.